Hey folks, once again, it's Bobby the Moving Broker. Now, today I want to talk about quotes. How does a moving company or a broker like myself, what are some of the steps that I take when I'm going to give someone a quote? Now, the quote is based on a very amount of things, right? This is based on how many items you're taking and from where you're going from to where you're going next, right? And all of those things play a role. But it's a bit more detailed than that because we have to get more detailed information because those information is which I pass on to the drivers so they know and the movers. So when they show up on in the location, they know exactly what they're going to be moving, right? So for me, when I'm talking to a customer on the phone, I take inventory of everything that they're moving, all their furnitures, all their appliances, boxes, bags, suitcases, and other miscellaneous items. Stuff can be lawnmower machine, some snow blower, some can go bike, right? And there's a lot of different things that has to be taken into account, right? Because a lot of times people call me and they say, "Can you give me a quote? Can you give me a quote for a one bedroom?" And I can give you a general quote, but given a general quote, that quote is subject to change because if there is other stuff that are not part of what you're going to be taking, then and also we have to factor in how much time it's going to take, right? So when you're asking a mover or a moving company for a quote, you have to make sure that you're willing to give a more detailed list of the things because I can say, okay, since you're going to take a one bedroom, then in my mind I'm thinking just a one bedroom, or you're just going to go into a one bedroom. There's going to be a bed, obviously, probably a dresser, night table, maybe a TV, and then that's the end of it, right? But if you say one bedroom and then you show up to a one bedroom apartment, it changes the ball game because now what's in that apartment? It's not just a room. There's also a living room. What's in the living room? Do you have couches? Do you have a dining room set? What specifically do you have? So when you're calling up a moving company and asking for a quote, you have to be a little bit more specific. There is generalized quotes, but generalized quotes are subject to change based on the content of the stuff that you're going to be taking. How many stuff that you have? Because like I said, it plays into to what the mover is going to do. Because if you have a bed that you want to be disassembled, that's going to take time. Because primarily when you disassemble it from one location, then you're going to have to assemble it in the next location, right? And that's pretty much something that happens a lot, right? What if you got dining room table? Is going to be disassembling on that too, right? How many bags, boxes? All of those things are involved in me taking the information because then I can assess amount of labor that's going to be involved, right? And then I have to factor in travel time because from one location to the next, how long is it going to be? It's going to be 16 kilometers. It's going to be more. What the travel time is going to be? Is the travel time going to be half an hour, right? All of those things are things that has to be for me as a moving broker. I have to take into account because at the end of the day, when I give you a quote, I have to make sure it makes sense for the movers that are coming in. That because at the end of the day, when I give you a quote and you accept the quote, then my job now is to go into my database and go to my guys and see which one of my guys will do it for that price, right? Normally I go to my top tier guys because my top tier guys, I know I've worked with them before. I've sent them on a lot of moves, so I know the kind of service that you're going to get. Now when the customer are very really particular on not spending a lot of money, they want to save money. Now that can be a little bit of a trick as far as I'm concerned because my top tier guys are not like cheap guys. They're not like out of the park expensive, but they're pretty much out of they price at a fairly I would say decent range depending on what you consider. But what you have to understand is that when you get movers that are going to do like a really good job, they're going to charge you a little bit more because they have the experience and they have the equipment, right? Now when I go for guys that are a little bit less because the customer is working a tight budget, then I let them know I haven't worked with this guy before. I don't know what to expect. You want a cheap mover, so I'm going to give you a guy a little bit less expensive. But keep in mind that we're just taking a you're basically taking a gamble on this guy, right? And I have a lot of horror stories on cheap movers, but I've done that on previous video. But the bottom line here is I have to take an assessment of what all the contents that you're going to be taking and also the travel time. And by the end of it all, to assess everything, then I can come up with a quote. And that quote is to make sure we cover travel time, labor, and all of the jobs involved so that for me going to the movers now, they can say yes, they can do it for that price, and then I go ahead and set everything up. Okay, so that's just a little bit about what I do when I go into giving people a quote. And if you want a quote, you can check my email here down the list. You can email me and I can give you a quote. I can give you a quote right there on the phone, or I can give you a quote in 24 hours or less. Okay, so this is what I want to see on this video. If you have any questions, send me an email. Let me know what your thoughts are, and there's questions that you want me to answer, I'll be happy to answer it. Okay, folks, so until next time, folks, take care, get started, and let's go.